today I'm reviewing the Jouer Cosmetics Soft Focus Setting Powder. And really quick, I just want to say I purchase these products with my own money. So if you want to help keep the channel independent, check out my products at nobsbeauty.com or click on the link below. And my shirts are on Teespring now, so check those out. So normally setting powders, finishing powders, they come out all the time. This one's definitely more of a finishing powder than a setting powder. But normally I don't really review them. I don't get too excited about it. I usually try them and either they're okay and I'll use them or they just don't impress me and I pass them off to friends and family. And really the last one that came along that impressed me was the Hourglass Ambient Light, which I've got right here. And this one I've used for years and really like it. And this new one came out and I thought I would pick it up. The Sephora sale is going on, so I thought, well, if I might try it or want to try it, I should pick it up now. And actually, I was so impressed with it, I wasn't planning to ever review it, but I thought I should do so because since I love it and I'm probably going to be using it, I'm wearing it today, you guys might want to be in the loop about it. So I've tried so many of them. Cover FX has a nice setting powder. Fenty came out with one that had fragrance. Huda came out with one that had fragrance. Most of them, Milk Makeup's blurring powder was pretty good, except for in very hot weather I found it to kind of pill a bit. So this one came along and I was pretty impressed with it. So I thought I would let you guys know my thoughts on it based on my Sarah score scale. And my first criteria is packaging, and they've done a nice job packaging this in a beautiful compact. Nothing super exciting, but it's definitely a nice compact, and it's got a mirror inside, and it's kind of skinny, but decently packaged. It does have some good beneficial ingredients, but for the most part, those are ones that aren't affected from exposure to light and air, so they've done a nice job packaging this finishing powder. My second criteria is alcohol. There's no alcohol in this. Third criteria is fragrance, and unlike a lot of other setting and finishing powders that are out there, this doesn't have any fragrance in it, so that's a very good thing, especially if you have sensitive skin. So they've done a nice job with that. This is made in the U.S. Again, no issues. Ease of use. So this comes in 6 different shades. The shade I have is light. So your best bet is to try and see if you can find it in the store. I'm not sure how many stores it's in. And try and pick the color closest to you. I would say if you're going to pick it up, I would say to go on the side of getting something that's a little bit too light than one that's going to be too dark. I just think there's a little bit more forgiveness going that way than going the other direction. So this is the second to lightest color that they have. I think they have a fair shade. So didn't surprise me that I ended up being in that light color range. But in terms of ease of use, I really like to just apply it with my brush. What is this? This is the IT brush number 211 all over powder. I use this typically for my powder, which is normally the Hourglass. And then I also use a different brush, the same model for my bronzer. So in terms of ease of use, very easy to use. It smooths over skin very easily. You don't have to do a ton of blending. It sets to a nice matte finish. And yeah, so very easy to use. Absolutely no issues with that. I wonder if I can just swatch on my finger. I guess you probably can't even see that, but a little bit. So anyway, so very easy to use. In terms of antioxidants, it's got some good ones in there. Hyaluronic acid, very beneficial. Lanolin, vitamin E. So it's got a lot more beneficial ingredients than the average finishing powder does. So that's good to see. And the other thing I like is that this doesn't contain any talc, which can be super drying, very oil absorbing for your skin. So I like to focus on setting and finishing powders that don't contain any, just because I find it to highlight dry patches and things like that. And this powder doesn't do any of that at all. So very nice. In terms of pigmentation, I would say the color selection, if you have to, go a little bit lighter than trying to find something that's might be a little bit too dark. So, but yeah, so the pigmentation is decent for a finishing powder. It just gives you a little bit of a slight lumosity to it, not as quite as much as the Hourglass powder does, but this one gives you a nice matte finish that has a bit of a glow to it, I guess is how I would describe it. So let's see. My 7th criteria is animal testing, and this brand is cruelty-free, which is always good to see. In terms of performance, definitely sets to a nice matte finish. It doesn't accentuate flaky areas, blurs imperfections. I guess there were some reviews I read from people that were trying to use this as a baking powder for their under eye. This is more of a finishing powder than a setting powder, so it's not going to do much for creases and things like that. Yeah, so I would say, again, very similar to the Hourglass without as much of the glow factor. So if you found the Hourglass to be a little bit too much glowy for you or a little too glowy, the Jouer brand finishing powder probably would be more up your alley. So, but I do still like both of them very much. In terms of the price, this is the full size, which is a sad 0.21 ounces for $30. And the Hourglass is $48, so you would look at those two thinking that the Jouer brand is much more affordable. It's $18 cheaper. However, the Hourglass is 0.35 ounces, and it's $48. So it's actually, if you look at it, the Hourglass one is a little bit cheaper since you get much more product in it. Almost double the amount of product. So, yeah, so it's a little pricey, but I guess not too much so for a more prestige brand. I don't know. It's still a little pricey, but I don't know. If you find a good finishing powder that is like under $30, let me know. So anyway, so I just thought I would compare the two in size and kind of the lumosity of the two. So anyway, so a little pricey. In terms of the it factor, it really impressed me. It's really the first finishing powder that's impressed me since the Hourglass one came out. And I've been using that for at least 3 years now. So it says something that it was really the first one that impressed me. The first finishing powder. So I like the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. That's a good one as well. But for finishing powders, this one is definitely becoming a favorite. I'll probably be using it more so in the summer when I don't need much of a glow from the Hourglass. So anyway, those are kind of some of my thoughts on it, and I gave it a 9 out of 10, which is pretty darn good. Nearly perfect, except for the price. But anyway, so those are kind of my thoughts on it. I'm interested if you guys have a chance to try this out, or if you haven't, what your favorite finishing or setting powder is. So definitely leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Check out nobsbeauty.com and the Amazon link below. And I will see you tomorrow, and thank you guys so much.